All right. Welcome to the Season 19 Grandmaster Glassway Guide, Season of the Seraph. This video I'm going to make real quick. I'm going to go over how I do Glassway, strategies, how to approach different rooms, when to use supers, when to use ammo, thought processes, and whatnot. So first, before we even get into anything, there are two main ways you could do Glassway. There's the rocket strat, which is what I prefer, and I think it's what most people should do, but some people do prefer linears with a divinity. Now, if you want to do linears with divinity, go for it, of course, but I think rockets are better. So if you want to copy this exact strat, you're going to want to use rockets. So before I get into it, let's go over builds real quick. I'll show you what my whole fire team is using. So this is me right here. I'm using a blinding GL. I would highly recommend at least one. You can use two, but you should definitely have at least one player in your fire team using a blinding grenade launcher. Not only does it blind the wyverns in the boss room, but it also blinds the mini boss, like that little mini hydra that likes to follow you around. It blinds him too. Very important to have this. And then I just have a void pulse because this season we have anti-barrier pulse rifle. So this is my barrier weapon, and I'm using a void one because Glassway is void burn. So you might as well take advantage of the burn. And then my heavy's galley, I'm the one giving my teammates Wolfpack rounds, so we can just spam everything to death. And of course, Void Titan, Heart of it, most light. Gotta keep using Heart until they nerf it. For teammates, I have a Hunter here on Tether, Arbalist. I like to have two people on my team run Arbalist. The other two guys, I run the Blinding GL. Both of them run Arbalist. I think this is a very solid setup. Arbalist is great for all the barriers. Plus, in the boss room, you can shoot through the boss's shields. Because since Arbalist has intrinsic anti-barrier, you can shoot through barriers naturally. So that rotating shield that goes around the boss, you can just shoot right through and crit the boss. It speeds the fight up a lot. And then for Overload this season, we have Scout Rifles, Auto Rifles, and SMGs. I would definitely go with the Scout Rifle, without a doubt. They're way safer. They hit pretty hard. Easier to use, and they actually still stun very quick. Scout Rifle stun an Overload in just 3 shots. If you have explosive payload, it will stun in 2 shots. So quick stun, safe, and they're strong. And then I have my other two teammates, since I already have Galley, they don't need Galley, they can just run legendary rockets. Ideally, Void rockets are best for Void Burn. Any roll works if you already have a Galley, because of course every rocket with Wolfpack rounds is going to be strong. So the roll of the rocket doesn't really matter too much. The only perk you want to avoid is Last Compression. You don't want that delayed rocket explosion. Like you stick a champion, by the time the rocket blows up, the champion isn't even stunned anymore. So your rockets lose an insane amount of value if they have Last Compression. You just want to avoid that perk entirely. This player here during this help run, they didn't have a Void Rocket. Not the end of the world. If you don't have any Void Rockets, it's not going to like ruin the strat or anything. You can obviously use rockets of other elements, but it's just nice to have a Void one to take advantage of the extra 25% Void damage. And then my other teammate is a Stasis Lock. Again, Arbalist, Void Scout for stunning, and this person actually did have a Void Rocket, which is nice. And then they, like I said, they're on Osteomancy Stasis Lock. If you're going to run a Warlock, I highly recommend doing Stasis if you have turrets unlocked. And then the other two that are good for Warlock, Void is good. Void Walker, because Void Burn, your abilities deal more damage. And on top of that, with this season, we have Overload Void Nades, so your grenades can stun. As well as, technically that Overload grenade mod, it's Stasis Nades and Void Nades, which means your Stasis turret, if you have the mod on right here, like this guy does, the Lord Kelvin's Basilic, his turrets will stun Overload, which is really nice. But you could do that on Void Walker too. And then the other one that's always good pretty much is Warlock, Well-Lock, Well of Radiance. We got the Starfire Protocol, grenade spam is still insane. So all of those are good. If you're going to play a Hunter like this guy, I would just stay Void. I don't really see any reason to not play Void Hunter. Again, Void Burn, so your tether and grenades, all your kit just deals more damage. It's safe with invisibility and whatnot. And then supers also pass through shields, like Hydra shields. So that means tether passes through the boss shield. So when it's time for DPS, you can actually just use tether on the boss, and it saves a lot of time because you can just basically push the boss through the phases very quickly. And I'll just skip a little forward. As we start here, a quick look at the modifiers. It's nothing crazy, really. the standard void burn. It does say here we have all 3 shields. That is a lie. There are no void shields. I think it's counting the void shields like in the patrol zone when you spawn in. But during the actual strike, you won't see any void shields. There are 3 solar shields, 3. And they are during the plate part, like right before boss room. We have to cap the plate when you drain the liquid out of the room. There's 3 heavy shanks that have solar shields. And then there's 8 arc shields, and they are all in boss room. It's the harpies that spawn. Now, that's not that many shields. Only 8 arc and 3 solar is not much. So you really don't need to bring solar or arc damage just to pop a couple harpy shields and a couple shank shields. It's not really a big deal. You could basically just ignore them. I would just deck out your loadout full void. Just take advantage of the void burn so your guns just deal 25% more damage. You can just kill everything faster. And then we'll just jump forward into the gameplay. I'll just skip ahead.
We're on it.
Alright. Up here, you're going to get your first overload. Couple marauders. I'd highly recommend killing the marauders, the sword guys, because they're really pretty annoying. Like these guys right here, they're very annoying. Watch out when they run at you here. Now, my general philosophy, the way I like to run Glassway, I'm going to pause real quick, is I'd like to just nuke the overloads. I think overloads are just way harder to finish because their health is kind of buggy, how fast they heal and stuff, and they do a lot of damage at point blank when you're trying to finish them with Loosen Finisher this season. I would highly recommend just basically never finishing them outside of like a rare circumstance. So my philosophy is I just nuke the overloads, and then I do finishers on the barrier champs. Barriers are a lot easier to finish. They don't heal as fast. It's easy to control their health, and they're all also not just as dangerous in this GM as the overloads are. So the overloads, me and my team, we always pretty much just kill them right away. And then obviously just a couple of shanks and snipers. None of these enemies really hit that hard. They shoot arc, and it's void burn, so they don't really get any bonus damage from any sort of modifier, so they deal pretty low to medium damage. Nothing that's going to like kill you that fast. So pretty straightforward. Just kill the ads and keep moving forward. And then once you get to here, you should actually not drop down. You see me, I just kind of stay here. And what's going to happen is, right when you can kind of see this glow back here. It's kind of hard to see. But right here, an overload captain will spawn. And he always moves around the left of this. And he likes to move like to like a pattern like this, the way my mouse is moving. He'll move left, and then he'll move out here in the middle. Yeah, it does it every single time. So there you go. You can see him moving around the left. And he likes to go there. And like I said, overloads, just get rid of them. They're annoying. Don't worry about finishing them. I'll just kill them quickly. And you'll notice, you see me, I'm intentionally not dropping down here. The reason you don't want to drop down is if you do that, it will actually spawn the second wave. The barrier servitor drops down the back of the room here in front of like the exit door. It'll drop down. Because what happens is if you spawn the barrier like really quickly, what obviously is going to happen is the barrier likes to tether its allies. So the barrier will tether the overload. And then, of course, you can't damage the overload, and then the barrier might hide. You get kind of stuck when the barriers is tethering everything. So ideally, you kill that entire wave that we just saw, you know, the overload here, plus all these, you know, wretches and stuff. And then once they're dead, then drop down and spawn the barrier. So they're dead, and then you see me drop down, and then you can see them spawn right there in the back, right behind my galley. 3 dregs always spawn here. I just get rid of them. And then 3 more like to drop down back here. And then, of course, like I said, barriers are a lot easier to finish, so I'll go for a finisher here. We get a lot of our rocket ammo back. This room works the same way. The first wave has the overload, and the second has the barrier. So you generally don't want to push up past this gigantic rock right here. You want to just stay behind, like where I am now. Anywhere in this general area. You push up to this like huge pillar right here. You push up, you'll spawn the barrier wave early, and you'll make the same mistake. The barrier will then tether the overload, and you'll have a very bad time. The overload always spawns off camera over here to the right. But don't worry, he'll just always teleport right here to the middle. which there he does right on cue. And again, you just killed him. Had to reload my galley, but you just want to get rid of this guy. Now, before you push up, even though the overload's dead, you should also kill the actual boss too, the enforcer, because if you spawn the barrier will also tether the boss too. Barriers can tether like everything. So you should also get rid of this guy. Now, obviously, you can't blind bosses with my blunting GL, but I have weakening clear on. It's just to apply the 15% debuff. That's why you get the yellow damage numbers there to signify that he's debuffed, just so we can kill him faster. And now the boss is dead. Now I'm going to push forward. One of the biggest ag waves always spawns up here. You can see right over the railing, there's actually like a door there. You can see that first drag coming out there. A pretty large ad wave spawns. You get like maybe 6, 7 or ads or so. So I always just shoot a rocket back there, and you can see the amount of points that pop up. I kill a bunch of ads immediately. Of course, rockets can do that, or as well if you have a really strong like grenade, like a charged void nade on Warlock, or like a storm grenade Titan, or something that like covers a large area, can basically serve the same purpose. A couple of drags like to drop down here. And this is also where the barrier drops down. Now the barrier has one of 3 spawns. The barrier can drop down here on the left. He can drop down here in the middle, or he can spawn on the right where I shot that rocket. The barrier spawn can be any of the 3. This time he happens to spawn left. And of course, you get finishes on the barriers. They don't hit hard at all. They do like no damage. Very easy to deal with. Skip a little forward to the next room. Now in this room, it's okay. There's 2 different ways you can do it. It doesn't really matter where you position. It's like I said, totally up to you. You can position here where my teammates are and stay in this general area, or you can go top left. Doesn't really matter. Both spots have cover. The line you generally don't want to cross, you can see the gigantic pillar right here. You don't want to pass this, or you'll spawn the barrier wave. If you jump up here, you don't want to pass this rock. So you want to stay in this back area if you're up here, or if you're on the ground here, you want to stay in the shade, like behind this gigantic pillar. Works the same way, like the other 2 rooms. You get the overload first, and then the barrier in the second way. There's the overload there. Me and my teammates start working on it. And the overload dies. And just like the last room, you want to kill the boss as well, because of course, if the barrier spawns, he'll tether the boss. You want to be careful with this guy. He is a sniper boss. Luckily for us, he only shoots arc, so he's not really going to one-shot you unless you're running low resilience for some reason. I just shoot my GL again to try and get the debuff, and I actually hit it with weakening clear. So he's debuffed for a little bit more damage, and we're just going to rocket him down to death. Of course, you can use Arbalest, whatever you have to kill this guy. Or if you want to take your time and save ammo, you can primary, but with loot and finisher, ammo is not as much of a problem this season, so it's okay to use a lot of heavy to speed it up. Once the boss is dead, then you push up. Again, there are 3 spawn points. You get a spawn point at this left door here. The ads will group up right here. The ads will drop out of the ceiling up here, and they will land right here on these little like steps right in the middle. And ads also drop from the ceiling in the back, like behind this like metal object thing. The biggest group of ads is on this left side, so that's why I pre-naded this spot. And you can see the nade hitting the ads there. I already know it's going to kill most of them. And of course, just like the last room, the barrier champ will spawn with one of the 3 groups. It will either come out left, it might drop down middle, or it might drop down the back. It's completely random. Finisher as usual on the barrier, kill the rest of the ends, and then push. Skip a little head to the next room because there's just some running. Now for this next area, there's really no like strat, I guess, for it. It's simple as just kill the enemies and move forward. There's really nothing in this room that's that that's all that threatening either, because again, Void Burn, it's all fallen in here. So they just shoot arc. So they don't really do any bonus damage. You're not going to get like one shot by anything in here. You know, just pick off the shanks, pick off the drags, you know, just one at a time. Once the coast is clear, push up. Very, very straightforward. Nothing really to go over here. So I'll just let the gameplay play out. Now there is an overload in this part. He's actually like down below me. The overload might position differently depending on how your team moves. If your team is all like here, where I'm standing now, the overload likes to jump up on the ledge here. But since my teammate, this guy on the left is over here, the overload is aggroing him, so the overload doesn't jump up. So the overload's like behind the wall here, off camera. There it is. Now this is a perfect example of why you nuke the overload, since I made a very greedy mistake here. I figured because it was just one overload, I should probably go for the finisher. And I'm pretty close, you know, I have an overshield and everything. And you can see how fast he kills him. And he shoots solar. He's not even shooting void. Like, that's just how fast they kill you. They're just annoying. So you generally just want to kill them. Then when you jump across here, as soon as your feet hit the ground, it pops up right there on the left. Champion has appeared. The overload captain will always spawn over here on the right side of this building. It's every single time. That spot is guaranteed, and there he is. I already know he's going to be there, so I go over the grenade, and then I learned from my previous mistake, and I just try and do it again. And of course, while you kill the overload and the vandals here, you want to be careful of the snipers up there. You can see in the distance, you can see that guy there. There's always two of them. The other one's hidden, but they are snipers. Again, they're not going to one-shot you because they shoot arc. It's not arc burn, but you know they're still Grandmaster vandals, so just be careful of those. Now up here for the plate part, you should really only have one player touching the plate at a time. The plate percentage, like the number going up, the fluid drained, it does not go faster with more players, meaning there's no advantage of putting like 2 or even 3 people on the plate. Just dedicate one player who has to control the plate. All 3 classes can capture the plate pretty well. If you're on Titan and you're on Void, of course, you have like Barricade spam. We're getting overshields. Hunters, you're probably on Void. You can go invisible and cap the plate. And then Warlocks, especially if you're on Solar, you got Healing Rifts or Well of Radiance to keep yourself alive. You could switch and take turns. You can dedicate one player. It doesn't really matter, but really don't put more than one player on the plate. There is no advantage, and you're just going to put extra players at risk of dying by throwing extra people on the plate. During the play phase, there will be 6 waves of ads. It starts on left, and it goes back and forth. So left, right, left, right, left, right. 6 waves. So the first wave here will come from the left. First wave is all shanks, just regular shanks, like you can see the ones I'm shooting. And then this is when you start getting one of the shields, and this is the first solar shield. And like I said, it's a heavy shank. I just shoot a galley at it, but if you have people on Arbalest, they can also just pop the shield in one shot. And then I got the percentage high enough. Now the right wave is spawning. When the next wave spawns, the right wave is always the same as the left. Whatever just spawned on left is going to spawn the same thing on right. So now we're going to get the shanks plus the solar shielded heavy shank again. The waves are symmetrical on both sides. It'll always be the same. The waves are never different. The exact same ads. They move the same way. It's the same everything. Same exact way. So it's 2 out of 6 waves done. Now the next waves, again, it will go left and right. Now you get small shanks plus 2 sniper vandals. You'll see me start picking off the shanks here. And then I try to pre-nade the vandals. You can kind of see one here. He's getting flinched by my grenade. But there are 2 sniper vandals that will spawn up there, so you want to be very careful of those. And again, this is why I like the scout rifle overload a lot more. Not only is it safer, but you can actually reach those ads. Oftentimes, if you're on overload SMG, if you're on overload auto rifle, you can't really reach those ads. They just snipe you and you have a really bad time. And you often have to waste heavy or like Arbalest just to kill them when you could have just shot them with a scout rifle and not wasted any ammo. And then, of course, the right wave that spawns next is the exact wave. All the small shanks with 2 sniper vandals, and you can already see them there. And then again, now we're 4 to 6 waves done. The last 2, again, it goes left, right. Now it's all 3 small shank variants. So regular shanks, explosive shanks, and 2 tracer shanks, the sniper shanks. Again, you want to be very careful. They're not going to one-shot you because it's not arc burn, but, you know, they're still sniper tracer shanks. They got to be careful with them. They probably will 2-tap you. And of course, the same way will spawn on the right side right after. All 3 small shanks. Regular, explosive, and tracer. All on the right. Once the play is complete, you've killed all the shanks, then you can push forward. This next area is also pretty straightforward. There really is no strategy to clearing, pushing forward to the boss room. You do get 1 overload here. Of course, it's up to your team how you want to push this guy. You can go for a finisher, or you can just nuke him. It depends on your ammo. I only had 3 rockets, so I told my team to go easy, and I'll attempt a finisher. Even if I died, it's not the end of the world. I know my teammates can easily res me. There's really not many dangerous things here. But I went for it, and I got it. When you're pushing up to this room, there's, I guess, 2 ways you could do it. You can all push one side together. You can send, all 3 of you up left or all 3 of you up right. You can split, 1 guy goes left, 2 goes right. Doesn't really matter. You can kind of play it how you want. In the end, it'll be all about the same speed. And then this is the last solar shield. And there we go. So that's all 3 solar shields done. Now the only shields left are the arc shielded harpies in boss room, which obviously we haven't gotten to yet. Now, the only thing you want to be really careful of are the vandals up top. Again, they shoot arc, not void. They're not going to one-shot you, but they're Grandmaster vandals, and you want to be generally, very careful with them. But since my teammates have scout rifles and I only have a pulse rifle, I told my teammates to focus them. I'll kill the guys on the ground. They can kill the guys up top, just so I don't get sniped a lot. So that's what my teammates are doing. And if you're on a scout rifle, long-range weapons, I would highly suggest doing everything you can to pick off as many vandals before they start killing you or your teammates. And then once you've traversed the pit, is boss room time. You get 4 dregs, 2 left, 2 right, and with 1 overload. Now, again, I would actually suggest finishing this one. Even if you don't need the ammo, you can finish this guy, because there's really nothing else besides him. Only the overload can kill you, because there's nothing alive here. Even if you don't need the ammo, of course, you can create a heavy brick with loosen finisher, and then you can just leave the brick on the ground. Ammo doesn't despawn. So, later on, halfway through the fight, and you have a free chance to go outside the room and grab ammo, that heavy brick would be there. So I would highly suggest getting a finisher on the overload to kind of stockpile heavy ammo. Luckily, the overload is aggro on my teammates. There's a shotgun me. Alright. And then what I like to do is I like to do spawn kills with rockets. You could do this with Divinity and Linears as well. But right when the boss fight starts and you kill that overload, you want to haul ass to left side, all the way to the left like this. And with galley and rockets, this is how you do it. You just stun the overload. You can do this with a grenade, or you can shoot your scout rifle real quick. You stun the overload, and you just all shoot 1 rocket. That's it. Just 1 rocket from each player will kill the overload. I was so confident he died, I can just walk away. And there's the kill right there. I get the points to pop up on the screen. I know he's going to die. Now, in this boss fight, everything that's really important to kill is going to spawn in pairs of 2. Overloads always spawn as a pair of 2. Wyverns always spawn as 2. Barrier hobgoblins also spawn as 2. every single time. There's never a time where that's not true. Always true. So since we just killed one overload, you can already know there's one left. Always one. Now, of course, we have the mini boss here, and this is another reason why the blinding GL is so good. You can actually blind this guy. So you're going to see me throughout this whole entire boss fight constantly just shoot my grenade launcher at him. It's just to keep him blinded so that he won't kill me or my teammates. If you didn't know, the Hydra shields, like this shield that rotates around him, is actually considered part of their like body or hitbox. Meaning even if I just shoot the shield with my blinding GL, it still blinds him for the same duration. So I don't even have to like wait for the shield to rotate. I can just hit the shield. It's still going to blind him anyways. So it's so easy to keep them blinded. You can hit his body or his shield and you got a full blind. So when you see me just GL this guy, that's why I'm just refreshing the blind on him. And of course you can see the overload coming. Like I said, there's one left. Once you've killed the overload, now it's time to damage the mini boss. Because now you have to spawn the next wave. So of course, there's a couple ways to do this. If you're really full and heavy, you can just spam heavy. But I like to have my teammates shoot Arbalest because like I said at the beginning, Arbalest passes through shields. So even when the shield is blocking his face, like you can see, like right now, you can see the shield is blocking his crit. Arbalest would still be able to pass through and do full damage to him. Like my teammates are doing here. You can kind of hear them shooting the Arbalest. And you can see how much damage he's taking. Arbalest can just push it through his health bar really fast, especially if you have two people running. And then once you push out the mini boss, now you get the next set of overloads. And again, it's always two. One thing that's very important is you pretty much always want to stay right here in this middle hallway. It's actually important that the overloads see you. We want the overloads to spawn, and we want everything to funnel up this hallway. If the overloads and the enemies don't see you, they don't know where you are, and they'll just kind of wander around the room. Which means they might come up the left side, or they might go up the right side, and then come in on the side doors, and then you get sandwiched. So it's important to actually peek this middle hallway constantly to pick up the enemy's aggression. So they come towards you. Of course, the overload is stunned. And like I said, just nuke them. There's no reason to play around with overloads. These guys do shoot void with void burn. They hit very hard. Now you can see there's a problem already if you've been paying attention. I said there were two overloads. We only killed one. Clearly there is not another overload here. They usually come to you down middle about the same time. So if you see one and kill it like that, you clearly do not see the other one. That means the other overload or wyvern in the future is probably sneaking around because it didn't see you guys originally. So I don't see the overload here. But as you can see, there he is. He did sneak in the right side. So it's important that if you don't see them in the middle, you must be ready for them to sneak in the side doors. Once both overloads are dead, now it's time for boss damage. Now there's a couple ways you can do boss damage. If you have a Titan on Banner Shield, you can do the strat I'm about to show you here. If you do not have a Banner Shield Titan, I would recommend just splitting up and going to different doors and doing damage. So like one person comes to this left door, one person goes out the middle door, and one can go out the right door. So you can all be separated. Because obviously the boss can't shoot all of you at once. He has to keep turning. So he can only shoot one of you. So while he's shooting one, the other two people can peek and do damage. Because this boss does shoot void. You can't really damage him while he's shooting you. You pretty much have to take cover because he'll kill you very fast. So to start damage, I hit him with one GL shot with Weakening Clear this season to apply a 15% debuff. And then I pop my Banner Shield. So my teammates can just sit behind the shield and shoot Arbalest. And again, Arbalest also passes through his shield. I swear, I just swung there by accident. That was just a mistake. As you can see how much damage they are doing. And the phase is already over. That's literally just a Weakening Clear, pop a Banner Shield, and two people shooting Arbalest. That's how fast the phase ends. Now, like I said at the beginning of the video, Void Hunters are good. If your tether is up, you can also use that at that point, because the tether will pass through the shield and do a load of damage. It also saves a lot of time, and that way you don't have to waste ammo doing damage, because the tether does all the damage for you. Once you push the boss out of the room, you should head back to the left side again, like where I am now, and you could do the rocket spawn kill thing again, like we did at the beginning. But this time, instead of an overload, it's now a wyvern, which obviously means you don't need a stun. You can just shoot rocket right away. And just like the overload, as long as every player shoots one rocket, the wyvern will die. And there it is. You can see the points for it. The wyvern's dead. And also, like I said earlier, they always spawn in pairs of 2. So I know there's only one wyvern left. You can see on the left that it says champion has appeared twice. Champions are the 2 champs that spawn are both barrier hobgoblins. They also spawn when the wyverns spawn. They spawn together as a group of 4. So 2 wyverns and 2 barriers. They are by a lot the lowest priority to deal with. The barriers will not come into the room. They just simply stay outside somewhere on the ground, and they'll only snipe you if you peek these hallways too long. So you want to deal with them last. They're not really a big problem. On top of that, the barrier hobgoblins, they only shoot solar snipers, so they don't really one-shot you anyway, so they don't really pose much of a threat in terms of like killing you. The wyverns obviously shoot void and will actually one-shot you. So the wyverns are always prioritized over barriers by a lot. And the wyverns will come into the room. They will walk right up this hallway, they will follow you into the room, and they will kill you. So it's very important to get rid of them. And you can see here, I blind the mini-boss again. We don't want to deal damage to the mini-boss yet because that will trigger the next wave. We want to kill the wave we have first before we spawn the next one. If we were to just slam the mini-boss right now, we would spawn again 2 more wyverns and 2 more barriers. Then we'd have 3 wyverns and 4 barriers all at once. That obviously is too much. So you want to always kill the wave that you have before you kill the mini-boss. Or damage the mini-boss, I should say. Now this is why wyverns are so scary. You could see a second ago how far away this wyvern is. He's behind the mini-boss. All I do is I turn the corner for a second, and the wyvern already teleported that far. This is why they're extremely dangerous. This happens pretty often. Unfortunately, there's really no counter to this unless you've already blinded them ahead of time, because they won't teleport like this if they're blinded. And of course, one-shots my teammate. That's how like scary they are. But this is why the blinding GL is so good, because then I just blind it. Now the wyvern can't do anything. It won't attack, it won't walk towards us, it just aimlessly walks around because it's blind. Once you've killed both wyverns, I like to head to right side to deal with the barriers. You can fight the barriers wherever you want. I just prefer right side. Now, like I said at the beginning, barriers are a lot easier to finish. So I would highly recommend just going easy on them. If you have a primary barrier weapon, like I do, I'm using a pulse here. One person could easily stun the barriers just to keep them from healing and just slowly work them down. You don't really need to waste any ammo, like heavy or, just grenade and primer and just work them down. They're not that dangerous. That way you can definitely get finishers. That way you save ammo, and that way, you don't accidentally kill this guy and then miss out on your loosened finisher. So you prioritize one, get a finisher, and now we can start working on the second guy. Get another finisher. And there we go. Now, once you kill both barriers, it's a really good idea to pick up all the ammo that's out here. Any special, heavy, everything. You and your entire team can pick up all the ammo you could possibly find. Once you're all set with ammo, you want to head back inside and damage the mini-boss from inside the room. And of course, you can see here's some of the harpies with the arc shields. Of course, if you have an arc weapon or arbalist, you can pop the shields, or you can just brute force them. They're not that hard to deal with. And again, I tell my teammates, all right, it's arbalist time. They pull out their arbalist, and they just spam this guy right through his shield, and it pushes him through the phase. You can see how much health the mini-boss has. He's about maybe 50, 55% health. And in just a couple seconds, and just like that, we just went through that whole bar. That was what, 4 seconds, 5 seconds at most. So Arbalest is just great for this. And just like that, he's done. Saves so much time. And again, you get the same wave again. You get 2 wyverns with 2 barriers. Same rules apply. Kill the wyverns first, blind them, grenade them, rocket, whatever. They are much, 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 much more dangerous than the barriers. Always get rid of them first. One wyvern's dead. Now we just want to work on the second one. And there we go. Both wyverns are dead. And now again, now you got to kill the 2 barriers. I like to do the right side strat where you go to right and deal with them. But again, you can deal with them from middle if you want to. Doesn't really matter. And then again, go easy on them. You can get finishes pretty easily on them. So they'll get a lot of your rockets, assuming you're on rockets. Or if you're on dev linear, get a lot of your linear ammo back. And then once you get both finishes, you want to head all the way to left again because you can do another one of those spawn kills. So have your rockets ready or div linear ready. Or this is an overload again. You want to get a quick stun with a grenade or a scout, a couple scout shots, and then you can all shoot your rockets. And just like that, the overload is dead again. And I'm going to sound like a broken record, but again, rule of 2. Overload spawn in pairs of 2. We got rid of 1. I know there's only 1 left. And there he is, right on time. On this phase, there's no mini-boss, luckily. It's just 1 overload, so not a big deal. Overload gets stunned, and delete him. And now it's time to do boss damage. You only have to do about half a bar of damage. So this is what this is the other damage strat I was talking about earlier. This is where you do separate doors. So you see I'm left. I have one teammate go out the middle door here, and I have one teammate go out the right door. So we're all at different spots. So that means the boss, obviously, can only shoot one of us at a time. So if he's shooting me, that means my teammates can easily do damage. Or if, you know, if the boss is shooting the teammate in middle, then the guy on right and the person on left can do damage. Or whatever the scenario is. And again, you can throw grenades, you can shoot your arbalist through the shield. If you're on a tether, you can shoot that through it. Whatever works. But you just gotta damage the boss. For this phase, you have to get to 50% health for the last set of overloads to spawn. So you can see like the slits in the bar here. You got to get to 50% health in the last 2 overloads spawn. So like right between like the C and the E and Transcendent. So we're almost there. You'll know you'll reach that point because it will say Vex reinforcements inbound on the left side. And there it is, Vex reinforcements inbound. Then you want to tell your team to come back inside and meet up in middle hallway. And champions have appeared. These are the last 2 overloads. And again, you should just get stuns and nuke them as always. They shoot void. Don't mess around with them. That's 1 dead, and they're both dead. And you can just kill the remainder of the ads. You get a couple goblins and whatnot. You can get rid of them. Some fanatic. Important it is to be here in the middle hallway because we're always baiting the overloads down the middle. It's important not to hide too much, play too defensive, because that's how you get sandwiched. It's important to show yourself so the overloads know where to go. You can basically just guide them wherever you want them to go. And now it's time to finish boss damage. Finish the phase that we're on. Now you just got to finish off like the bar that he's on. And again, you can just shoot arbalists, whatever, grenades, and just keep hitting until he leaves. There we go. So the boss leaves. I tell my teammates to come back to left side with me, because for the 4th and final time, you could do that rocket spawn kill again. Overloads are done for the fight. We just have wyverns and barrier hobgoblins left. So of course this will be a wyvern. Don't need a stun. They'll shoot 1 rocket, and the wyvern will die. And just like before, they spawn in pairs of 2. So we want to kill the remaining wyvern first before we kill the mini boss. Wyvern's dead. Now, what I like to do, even though there's 2 barrier hobgoblins out there, I don't really care about them because, like I said, they're not that threatening. I prefer just to kill the mini-boss here and spawn the second wave, which again will spawn the last 2 wyverns and the last 2 barriers, hobgoblins. So I tell them I relate that to my team, and now we just kill this guy. Next reinforcements inbound, and here we go. Last 2 wyverns and 2 extra barrier hobgoblins. Even though it's tempting to fight the barriers when they shield, just ignore them. As long as the wyvern's alive, you should always ignore them. You can see how quickly they can teleport. They're so dangerous. One wyvern snuck all the way around. One cool thing about the wyverns I forgot to mention is since the wyverns are just red bar enemies, you can see, you know, he had a red health bar, which means they're just a rank and file enemy. If you didn't know, red health bar, rank and file enemies, you can actually finish them at half health. So as long as they just hit 50%, you can finish them. So you can see how much health he had, and I was still able to finish it. I'll try and like freeze frame it. See? He could have had even more health, and I could have finished him. He could have been half. But don't be afraid to finish them when they're at half, just to get rid of them immediately. And now all the wyverns are dead. Now you want to pick up the barriers. Like I said, we stacked them up, so all 4 of them are out there. On the last set, I like to damage from the middle. The reason I like to kill the barriers from the middle is because the boss right now is over on the left side somewhere. He just sits over there because he doesn't know where we are. If you go over and do that right door strat we did before, the boss will then realize you're there, and he will move to the right, and then he will just sit there shooting you, and he'll basically just block you. But for whatever reason in middle, the boss like doesn't aggro you, so the boss just kind of sits like AFK over in the corner and lets you just kill the barriers pretty easily. And remember, there are 4 of them, so when you peek these corners, you don't want to peek too long. You could get like triple snipe, you know, all at once and then be killed, so you'll see me going, you know, in and out of cover. That way, if they are targeting me, they kind of lose their aggro. There's always this guy up top on the ledge. He'll either be on the left or right. I like to kill him last. Once you start fighting him, he likes to rapidly teleport between the 2 ledges. It's very annoying to deal with while the other ground ones are alive. But I tell that to my team. So we're going to deal with him last. Very, very annoying. Over time, the barriers on the ground will just walk up to you like this, and so you can basically just pick them off one by one. That's 2 down, 2 to go. Next one on the ground. Fortunately, he teleports. Again, I hit him with the JL. Can't blind up. It's just to apply the debuff with weak getting cleared this season. Now all the ones on the ground are dead, and now you can kill the one up top. And you can already see how much he's teleporting already. Very, very annoying. This is why I deal with him last. And then once the 4 barriers are dead, the strike's over. You can now just kill the boss. You can dump all your heavies, all your supers, absolutely everything you have. There's really no reason to bring supers or ammo to orbit with you. Just use everything. I have my team come to the left with me. I get a debuff. I actually missed. So it doesn't really matter. My teammate's going to tether and apply a debuff anyways. And of course, you can use all your tether, Arbalest, rockets. If you're on rockets, just use everything. And there we go. There you have it. That is Season 19, Season of the Seraph, Grandmaster Glassway walkthrough. Hope you guys enjoyed, learned something. Peace.